At our housewarming party, I was welcoming guests when my sister-in-law pulled me aside and said, "You'll enjoy this place while it lasts." I thought she was just being cruel, until my husband made a toast and said, "None of this would be possible without my parents." Later, I found out the mortgage was in their name, and the backup tenant listed on the lease? His ex. You know that feeling when something seems too good to be true? That was me, standing in the middle of our brand new living room, holding a glass of cheap wine, smiling so wide my cheeks hurt. It was our housewarming party, our first real home. I thought everything was perfect. I had worked 2 jobs to help save for this house. I skipped vacations. I passed on new clothes, nice dinners, everything. Nick promised me we were building our future together. I believed him. The house wasn't huge. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. A little backyard with a busted fence we promised we'd fix in the spring. But it was ours. Or so I thought. People filled every corner of the house that night. Laughter, music, the smell of my neighbor's jalapeno dip baking in the oven. My mom sat on the couch bragging to anyone who'd listen about how proud she was of me. I was standing by the front door, greeting the last few stragglers, when Kelsey, my sister-in-law, slithered over to me. Now, Kelsey always had a way of making me feel less. It wasn't even what she said. It was the way she said it. The fake smile, the sugary voice with the poison tucked just underneath. She leaned close to me, reeking of expensive perfume, and said real quiet, "You'll enjoy this place while it lasts." Then she winked, like we shared some secret joke. I laughed it off. I told myself she was just being a bitch. That's what Kelsey did. She stirred shit up because her own life was miserable. But deep down, it got to me. The night went on. I helped pass out beers, laughed at stupid jokes, took pictures in the backyard under the fairy lights Nick had strung up. Everything seemed fine. Then Nick decided to make a toast. He grabbed a bottle, stood up on the fireplace ledge, and clinked his glass. Everyone went quiet. He looked around the room and said, "I just want to say, none of this would be possible without my parents. Thank you, Mom and Dad. We wouldn't be here without you." Everyone clapped. I clapped too, but something inside me felt weird, like a rubber band stretching too tight. I thought, wait.
Why?
We bought this house together, right? We worked for this. I shoved the feeling down, told myself I was being paranoid.
But it stuck with me.
The next few weeks were busy. Unpacking, picking out curtains, fixing the leaky sink. Nick seemed distant sometimes. He blamed work stress. I believed him. I noticed he never really talked about the mortgage or bills. Any time I brought up adding me officially to the documents, he changed the subject. Then one afternoon, I got a call from the water company. Something about a billing mistake. The woman on the line asked me to verify the account holder's name. I said, "It's me, Jenna Walters." There was a pause. She said, "I'm sorry, ma'am. The account is listed under Nicholas Walters and Denise Carter." I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. Denise Carter, Nick's ex. The same woman who used to blow up his phone late at night. The same woman he swore was crazy and out of the picture. I barely held it together. I thanked the woman, hung up, and sat on the floor of the kitchen, staring at the ugly towel we planned to replace someday. I told myself maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was a weird coincidence. But I needed to know for sure. I dug through the file cabinet Nick kept locked in his office. The one he said was for boring tax stuff I didn't need to worry about. I found the lease agreement. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely flip the pages. There it was. Mortgage owner, Robert Walters and Susan Walters. Backup tenant, Denise Carter.
Not me.
Not even us. Just him, his mommy and daddy, and his ex. When Nick got home that night, I was waiting.
I didn't yell.
I didn't cry. I just held up the papers and said, "Explain this."
He looked at them.
He didn't even try to pretend he didn't know. He said, "It's complicated. It's old paperwork. It doesn't mean anything." I asked him why he never told me. He said it wasn't important. that his parents had co-signed years ago when he first thought about buying a house with Denise, that it was too much trouble to fix it. I said, "So, I'm living in a house you planned with your ex. A house your parents still own. And I have no rights to anything." He shrugged, like it was no big deal. I felt cold all over, like I was standing outside my own life, watching it crumble. That night, I slept in the guest room, if you could call it sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every promise, every lie. I thought about how Kelsey had smiled when she said, "While it lasts." I thought about Nick's stupid toast. I thought about how easy it would be for them to push me out if they wanted to. No rights. No legal tie. Nothing. I wasn't a wife. I was a placeholder. And placeholders are disposable. I decided right then, I wasn't going to sit around and wait to get kicked out. If they wanted a war, they were going to get one. And I was going to burn their pretty little fake world right to the ground. I didn't confront him again right away. Instead, I got quiet, careful. I knew I couldn't beat Nick and his family by throwing a fit. That's what they expected me to do. Then they could call me crazy and push me out even faster.
No.
I had to be smarter. First, I started digging. While Nick was at work, I pulled every document out of his office. Mortgage agreements, banking papers, old emails he thought he deleted. I spent hours reading, taking pictures with my phone, building a folder of everything they didn't want me to know. Here's what I found out. The house was bought almost 5 years ago. Denise's name was all over the early paperwork. They had planned to get married. When they broke up, Nick never removed her because it was too expensive to redo the paperwork. His parents stepped in, temporarily, to help him keep the house. And somehow, even after we got married, he never bothered to fix any of it. Because he never planned to. In their eyes, I was temporary, just like Denise had been. I also found emails between Kelsey and Nick. One from just a few weeks before our party. If she thinks she's staying there long-term, she's dumber than I thought. Another one from his mother. Don't tell her about the paperwork yet. It's better if she stays happy for now. I felt sick reading them. Like the whole family had been sitting around, laughing at me behind my back. The final straw? I found a new draft lease tucked in Nick's desk drawer. It had a vacancy plan section. Guess whose name was still listed as an eligible backup tenant? Denise Carter. Guess who wasn't listed anywhere?
Me.
I started making moves the next day. First, I opened a secret bank account under my maiden name. I started funneling a little bit of money into it every paycheck. Second, I talked to a divorce attorney. Quietly. I paid cash for the consultation. The lawyer didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "You don't own that house. If he files first, he can kick you out within 30 days. You'll be homeless unless you have somewhere else to go." He asked me if I had any proof of contributions. Receipts, bank statements, anything showing I paid for home improvements. I had some. It wasn't a lot, but it was something. Enough to cause a legal mess Nick wouldn't want. The next few weeks, I played perfect wife. I made dinners. Smiled at his stupid jokes. Slept next to him like nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, I kept digging. One night, while Nick was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "Are we still good for Sunday? I can bring the keys." I clicked the conversation. It was Denise. She was already planning to move in. I felt rage like I had never felt before. It was so strong I had to sit down before I did something crazy. I knew then, they weren't just waiting to push me out. They were actively planning it. I needed a plan, and I needed it fast. And if Nick thought he could replace me that easily, he was about to learn the hard way that I wasn't the same stupid girl he thought he married. I spent the next few days pretending to be clueless. I kissed him goodbye in the mornings, made him coffee, watched him leave like I was just another happy housewife waiting for her man to come home. The truth was, I was counting down the days. I wasn't going to let them blindside me. I was going to blindside them. First, I printed copies of everything. Emails, texts, mortgage papers, the new lease Nick was drafting behind my back. I made a neat little binder, and gave it to my lawyer. He smiled when he saw it, said, "You might not be on the deed, but this shows intent to deceive. Judges don't like liars." We talked about my options. He said the smart move was to strike first, file for divorce, ask for compensation for the money I put into the house, and sue for fraud if needed. It would drag Nick through court for months. It would drain his money. It would mess up his parents' investment, too. It wouldn't get me the house. But it would make sure they paid for screwing me over. Meanwhile, I started playing dirty at home. Little things at first. I accidentally spilled red wine on the white carpet Nick loved so much. I flushed tampons down the upstairs toilet until it backed up into the master bathroom. I left the back gate open so the neighbor's dog could dig up the fancy flower beds Nick's mom had planted. Every little thing that broke, every little inconvenience, I smiled. They wanted to replace me with Denise? They could enjoy their dream house falling apart piece by piece first. Then came the real move. I waited until Nick was gone one weekend. Off at some family thing I was pointedly not invited to.
I rented auto.
Jenny, my best friend, and 2 of her brothers came over. We packed up everything that was mine, every stick of furniture, every dish, every towel. Half of what was in that house I had paid for, and I was taking it. We stripped that place down so bad it looked like a sad little skeleton by the time we were done.
No curtains.
No pots and pans.
No coats.
No bed frame. Just a sad mattress on the floor and some boxes of Nick's junk. Before I left, I wrote a note and taped it to the bathroom mirror. It said, "You're welcome to share this dump with Denise. Hope it lasts longer this time." I left my keys on the kitchen counter, locked the door behind me, and drove away without looking back. That night, I filed for divorce. Served him at work 2 days later. I wish I could have seen his face when he opened the envelope. From what Jenny told me, her cousin worked at the same company. He turned red, started yelling, and stormed out of the office like a madman. The best part? Because Nick had never updated the paperwork properly, the house technically violated its original mortgage terms. When the lender found out about the tenant change and the messy legal battle, they started foreclosure proceedings. Nick's parents tried to bail him out. They failed. The house went into foreclosure within 6 months. The dream home they tried to build on lies and secrets?
Gone.
Sold at auction to some flipper company. Probably gutted down to the studs. As for Denise, she tried to move in with Nick after I left. They didn't last 3 months. He cheated on her with some bartender he met downtown. Guess cheaters don't change. As for me, I moved into a small apartment with big windows and no lies tucked in the walls. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Every inch of it. And when I lay in bed at night, with the windows open and the Texas breeze rolling in, I smiled. Because I knew I had done it. They thought I was dumb. They thought they could use me. They thought I'd just fade away quietly. Instead, I buried them. After the house fell into foreclosure, Nick tried to act like it didn't matter. He posted stupid pictures on Facebook of him starting fresh in a tiny apartment by the freeway. His parents stayed quiet. No proud family dinners anymore. No Facebook bragging about their perfect son. It was like they vanished into the walls, embarrassed and bitter. Kelsey, who used to send me nasty little messages and backhanded compliments, finally tried to reach out. She sent me a long, fake sweet email. It said, "Hope there's no hard feelings. Families have rough patches. Maybe someday we can move past all this." I didn't reply. Instead, I took screenshots of her old texts, the ones where she called me trash and said I wouldn't last, and I posted them publicly. I didn't even add a caption. I let her words burn her reputation all by themselves. Her boss, who followed me on Facebook, saw it. 3 weeks later, Kelsey was unemployed. It wasn't my fault. I never said anything. But when you talk like garbage and it gets exposed, people tend to back away. Nick tried calling me a few times after Denise left him. He left these pathetic voicemails. "I miss you. We made mistakes. Maybe we could fix things." I never answered. The one time I picked up by accident, I let him talk for a minute before I said, "You're standing in the ruins you built." Enjoy it. Then I hung up. He didn't call again. A few months after that, Nick's life got even worse. Turns out, when he defaulted on the mortgage, it tanked his credit so badly he couldn't even lease a new car. He ended up driving this old beater truck with a smashed bumper and peeling paint. It looked exactly like the kind of life he deserved: broken, ugly, and embarrassing. I heard through the grapevine that Denise moved to Florida. Married some rich guy twice her age. Good for her. She finally found someone who could afford her. Nick's parents tried to sue me at one point, claiming I damaged the house by taking essential fixtures. Their lawyer dropped them after he saw the evidence I had. Emails, contracts, my receipts for everything I bought. They ended up paying court fees instead. It was a beautiful thing to watch from a distance. In the end, I made mistakes too. I stayed too long. I trusted too hard. I believed people when they showed me who they were the first time. That was on me. But the difference was I learned. I rebuilt my life from the ground up. No shortcuts. No lies. No strings tied to anyone else's games. I bought my own small house a year later. Tiny, white siding, a lemon tree in the backyard. No fancy parties. No fake toasts. No snakes hiding in the grass. Just peace. Real, honest peace. And whenever I hear from old friends who still know Nick or Kelsey, I smile to myself. Because some ruins you can rebuild from. And some ruins you have to leave right where they collapsed. So everyone who passes by remembers exactly what happens when you think you can build your life on lies. And I made damn sure they were buried deep under theirs. Forever.